Hello Seekers, welcome to Punneits Astrology, your one-stop astro channel. Sun is about to make its transit to the sign of Virgo. This is again one of the usual annual transit of Sun, which happens almost at the single time frame every year. Each year around mid of September, Saturn will move to the sign of Virgo, which is second from his own sign Leo. And Virgo becomes the natural sixth house, so therefore it's like a battlefield, a field of conflict, or an area of conflict. So when the king, the Surya, the sun, goes into the sign of Virgo, it's more about the king is here to execute his role as the public servant, and this is where he is trying to assess, analyze, manage the situation, address the core areas, address the problems, address the disputes, and find out the right solution. When Sun goes into the sixth house, remember all the core areas and the problem areas now gets the light. So this means all the problems will now become more visible. So for you, you can experience that the problems in your life are being much more visible, much more thorough. And this will also tell you the right way to dispose these problems. On one hand, the problem gets exposed because of the sun transit. On the other hand, the problem also gets disposed because the sun's direct aspect on the 12th house, which is the house of liberation, the house to let go of the things. So in combining both of them, the sun transit in the 6th house, that means this particular month of solar transit in the sign of Virgo is extremely crucial. Let us discuss and address this more, but stay tuned till the end of the video to get to know more about this transit. Before that, do not forget to hit like, subscribe and share and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another update. If you want to follow me on other social media handles for more such updates and IGTV videos, do follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and for tweets, follow me on Twitter. If you want to take my consultation, you can drop me an email. The email ID and all the social media handles are given in the description box below. So let's begin with the sun transit through the sign of Virgo. Surya. Surya is the king. He is the fifth lord, and sun rules one of the most powerful trine. And sun is heat, sun is authority, sun is power, sun is justice, and sun is defining the soul, the self-esteem, the confidence, the courage, the identity that you hold towards yourself. And sun also defines anything that is related to government. Now when sun goes into the sign of Virgo, what happens during this time is that this solar transit has to be seen with respect to every other transit, with respect to the other placement of planets. Remember, this is an annual transit and this will happen exactly at the same time frame. So that means the usual behavior of the sun remains constant, which is the king who is into the battlefield, the king who is here to address the dispute. It is like Raj Sabha. It is like the court of the king, where king is addressing the grievances of the pained people, grievances of the people who are in trouble. Sixth house is infamously known as Aribhava. It is the house of disputes. It is the house of quarrels, divorce. It is also the house of Prarabdha Karma. So when sun goes into the sixth house, what happens actually is every time in this month, in one way or the other, the core responsibilities of the life always gets enlightened, comes in front, comes into light. So now you are able to see your true responsible nature. This gives you an idea what is the true responsibility or the true position, true authority that you possess in your life and the life of other people around you. This also gives you an idea, and this also gives you an opportunity to address all the problem areas, address your health issues. And sun is also known as someone who gives light. So when sun goes into the sixth house, this definitely means that you have to protect yourself, because that means your prestige and your confidence will come into question. Sixth house is also called as the house of job. So when sun goes into the sixth house, it means that there are opportunities that you can look out for the job. There are opportunities and avenues that you can seek out to improve your career. But this also means that the dispute from the government, dispute from the boss is a very high possibility. depending upon your Mahadasha and Antardasha. Now, coming to the sign of Leo, Sun is second from Leo, so definitely this Sun is going to enhance his kingdom. Sun is out to fight to protect the resources. Second house is the house of resources. So when you go from Leo, you reach Virgo by going into the second house. So Virgo is basically the house of resources for the kingdom. So Sun is out here to protect the resource, to assess what resources are available, how to manage the resources, how to address the situation. Maybe it's a wheat issue, maybe it's a food issue, maybe it's a government logistic issue. It can be anything depending upon what country, what region and what time frame you are in right now. And now addressing the Sun transit with respect to other planets, one has to see that Sun is right now entrined with Shani. Saturn is in the sign of Capricorn, and when Sun is in Virgo, remember, Sun has a natural supremacy over 5th house because naturally 5th house is Leo. So when Sun finds Saturn in 5th house, therefore Sun will find excess responsibility towards the sign of Capricorn. Now Capricorn is a sign where Sun becomes Digbali, and Sun becomes very powerful in Capricorn because Capricorn is the brightest house. It's the house of broad afternoon, broad daylight, and that is where the Sun shines brightest. Now when Saturn, which is the planet of darkness, controls that house, Sun may feel slightly insecure. That means you will feel slightly insecure about your own productivity. You will feel insecure about your own health. You will have this confidence issues related to matters of the health of your father, health of your children. But you should not worry if your horoscope is protected, if you have already taken enough care. It's an annual transit and it happens every year exactly the same way, and that is why the role of Shani, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu are very important. Now what crucial is that during this solar transit, when this transit is happening, Jupiter, which is 4th from Sun, becomes very independent and direct. That means the Sun becomes more happy, more confident. That means whatever you're trying to do will at least give you satisfaction, will at least give you confidence. That means the path may be difficult, but the path seems to be correct. So if you are actually addressing the issues, if you are focusing on the matters of problem, if you are thinking right, thinking straight, that means you will get that satisfaction that the job is going in the right path. On the other hand, you see that the position of Mars is becoming retrograde just before the Sun moves into the sign of Virgo. Now where is this Mars? Mars is in the sign of Aries. When you count Aries from Virgo, you actually land up in the 8th house. Now Mars is in the 8th house from Surya. Now this, I will not say that this is totally against Sun. This is where the soldier is being sent to places where the king can't reach. Remember, 8th from Sun is the house where the sunlight never reaches. Let us take an example. Suppose there is a broad daylight. It's a completely dry desert area, but there is a big well, big hole inside the ground. Do you think that after a certain depth, the sunlight will be able to reach the base of the hole? No. Unless Sun is directly overhead, it's not possible. And 8th house always falls into a certain angle that sunlight fails to reach, or the light is only the reflected light, the direct light never actually reaches. So somebody has to go and take care of that area, and who better it will be than Mars himself. When Mars, which is the Senapati, the commander-in-chief of the king, goes into the 8th house, it ensures that is protected. That area of the Sun's concern, that somebody can destroy him, somebody can put him into some sort of problem, is taken care by Mars. Mars with its aspect actually watches the 2nd house from the Sun, that is Libra. So that means Sun's existing resource. For example, if the king is fighting, what about the weapons that is needed in the battlefield? What about the resources that you will need to fight the problem? Mars will take care of that. But that means you have to focus on Mars and have your confidence high. That means you should be willing to put your hand into the problem, not get scared, to burn your hand in the process. Have that confidence, have the right tools. That means you have to apply your brain. Yes, that's why Mercury is with the Sun in the sign of Virgo. Apply your intellect to solve the problem and don't flow by emotions. On top of that, during this solar transit, Rahu and Ketu is also changing sign from the sign of Sagittarius and Gemini, which is Ketu and Rahu respectively, to the sign of Scorpio and Taurus, which is the Ketu and Rahu respectively. Now, what does it mean? Say I'm reaching Taurus from the sign of Gemini, while you take Virgo as the Lagna. When you take Virgo as the Lagna, Rahu falls into the 10th house. Then Rahu is going into the 9th house. And that is where the sun is highly insecure. Why? Because if you see the trine from Virgo, if you put Virgo as ascendant, sun goes into the 1st house, but Saturn is in the 5th house and Rahu is in the 9th house. And that is why the king is desperately trying to spread light. And that is why you may find that you are trying desperately to kill the darkness, and that is exactly what you have to do. What you have to do is exactly find out the areas which are causing darkness, which are tampering with your emotions, which are tampering with your confidence, and address it with super intellectual mode. Do not try to flow with the emotions, do not try to react to situation, rather be very calm, very patient, and have your confidence held high, because sun is here to heal you. Mercury is already in favor of the sun, so information is coming right. Jupiter is direct and free from Ketu from 23rd of September. So the post 23rd September scenario, especially the first 15 days of October, the second half of the transit of sun in Virgo, is going to be really, really positive. And which means that sun is going to take control of Saturn and Rahu. It's a direct Andhakar and the Jyoti fight. That means it's a direct fight between light and darkness. So you have to initiate that light within you. Light a lamp, a ghee lamp in your home every day. Try to maintain brightness all around your house. Don't completely sleep in the dark. At least have a night bulb. And always at least have a diya being offered to the gods as a prayer. And that is going to give light. Because diya is not artificial light. Understand the importance of burning a ghee diya. Diya is fire. It's actual plasma. It's a fire in reality. It's not a fictional fire. It's not an artificial bulb giving you artificial light. It's the fire. And fire produces a certain kind of wavelength which falls in the yellow spectrum, a proper spectrum of light. And if you see, the artificial lights were developed recently. But since the dawn of humanity, since we have learned to burn a particular dry leaves and produce fire out of it, human beings are actually habituated to work with fire. That means if I take it as a simple programming, adaptive programming, forget about evolution, simple adaptive programming, taking human body as a robot, mind is continuously learning with the experiences, the entire humanity is very much in tune with the frequency that the light of fire emanates and the heat that the fire will emanate. And that is why fire is said to be extremely important. And that is why a miniature symbol of fire, when you watch the diya, when you have the diya right in front of you, that coding, that evolutionary process gets activated and your body immediately connects to it. You may not be able to connect with the artificial light, and that is why you have to switch off the light, but you can easily sleep in the light of candle. And that is not going to disturb you, because you had this habit as in the prehistoric area. All over the years, humans have always survived the night with the help of a fire, be it in the form of a lamp, a candle, or a big torch. Doesn't matter. So you have to address this situation through fire. And this also means that when sun is right in the battlefield, it also will get wounded. It also will get hurt. So in the process, you're also going to get hurt. You're also going to get wounded in this process. Wounded means emotionally and not physically. You should take care of your health. You should take care of your near and dear ones. And you should ignore few things. You should avoid few factors in life. Yes, definitely Venus, which is in the sign of Cancer, which is 11th from Virgo, is actually directly in front of Saturn. So if I see the overall picture seems to be very gloomy. I'm being very honest here. Overall picture seems to be very gloomy and dark if we focus on the dark area. But the overall picture on the same hand becomes very promising if we focus on the areas of light. So that is why you should focus on the areas of light, that is the area of sun, and you should not focus on the areas of darkness. When sun goes into the 6th house, you have to understand that the 12th house automatically gets illuminated because of the direct presence of the sun, because the direct sunlight reaches the 12th house. Now, 6th house is the Prarabdha karma, so definitely that's the area of dispute and problems, and most of the time we don't really, we don't tend to focus on the problem, we don't address the elephant in the room. But 12th house is something that is behind your back. If we take a circle, if this is the start point of the circle, if I have to reach the 12th house, how will we go? We will rotate 360 degree and come back. So the 12th house is behind your back. So what is happening behind your back? You can't see unless you turn your head. So if there is darkness behind, what is happening, we don't know. That is why 12th house always produces losses, the so-called losses. And that is why 12th house is the house of distance place, because you actually travel 360 degree. But when sun is in the 6th house, the direct focus happens to be on the 12th house. This part gets illuminated, the back gets illuminated. And when the back gets illuminated, if there is anything hiding in the plain sight, you will be able to see that. That means you will be able to see your enemies, you will be able to see your trouble, you will be able to address the situation that is coming right in front of you. Whether you address it or not, whether you get scared of it and you start, panicking on that is a different question. But sun is giving you an opportunity, one small opportunity, a casual opportunity, which can be turned into a magnanimous output. It can be turned into a very positive output. That is totally depending upon your karma. And I would ask you to address the situation, whatever it may be, small or big, and handle it with full intellect, full wisdom, and you will see the brightest of the result. That's it for this particular transit. I'm not uploading this on an ascendant to ascendant basis because these transits are actually very generic in nature and you have to address it with the respect of other transits. I will definitely upload more videos on other transits. Yes, I have got a lot of requests on the Rahu Ketu transit. That video will come soon. As well as Saturn direct motion in the sign of Capricorn for 2020 and Jupiter direct motion free from Ketu in 2020. Both the videos are in the pipeline. Stay tuned. Do not forget to hit like, subscribe and share and hit the bell icon because that will give you notification when I upload those videos. So thank you for watching Punneit's Astrology. This is your host Puneet. Let's meet in the next video. Till then, namaste.